It's 11:47 p.m. Elias is awake, phone lighting his face in the dark. He paid his card that afternoon, full balance on time. Then the notification lands. Credit score, down 25 points. He checks his bank app. The payment's there. Confirmed. Cleared. No mistake he can find. For a second, it doesn't feel like data. It feels like a verdict. That number is only the middle of the story. Below it is a report built from fragments companies send in on their own schedule. Above it is an institution, choosing a model and adding its own rules before deciding anything. By the end, you'll trace a decision like that backward, through the score, into the report, and see which layer actually moved, not a verdict on you. If you want to understand the hidden systems behind money, institutions, status, and modern behavior, this is what the Elias principle is about. Nobody writes that report by watching Elias live his life. Lenders and other companies he's done business with, his card issuer, an old auto loan, a student loan he's still paying, send pieces of that activity to outside companies built to collect it. Credit reporting companies. The three largest are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Many furnish information monthly, but not every company reports to every nationwide bureau. And some don't furnish account information at all. So this isn't one machine watching him in real time. It's several separate files, each holding a different, incomplete slice of what he's done, updated by different companies on different days. No single camera, just data arriving on different schedules from different directions. Nobody assigned to watch him in particular. Elias assumed his file updated the moment he hit pay. It doesn't work that way. Accounts don't all report on the same schedule. There's no single day when every file refreshes. A report can change several times in a month, or sit untouched for weeks. The last entry on his card account is dated about 3 weeks ago. A different account on the same file updated just yesterday. 3 weeks ago is also when his last billing cycle closed. Shortly after that, his card issuer reported the balance he owed at that exact moment, not the zero he reached today by the due date. That earlier number is what's still sitting in the file. Not because anyone made a mistake, because the newer number hasn't been furnished to the credit reporting companies yet. And that reported balance does more than sit there. A scoring model can compare it to how much credit he has available. A ratio, not just a total. If that higher ratio is what gets reported, it may affect the score, even if the balance is paid in full days later. There's no magic cutoff here. Just a ratio the model happened to read that day. There's also the credit card application he submitted last month, half out of curiosity. The issuer declined it. No new account opened, but the lender's hard inquiry remained on his file, the kind that can nudge a score down slightly. He'd almost forgotten the application completely. The file hadn't. A closed account, still listed for years after it's gone. An old account from years back, aging another year, which may help, depending on the model and the rest of the file. A correction to something that was wrong in the first place. None of them announce themselves. They just quietly move a number. In the same month, a payment looks perfectly clean. So, the report changed. But a report is not a score. A score is what happens when a model reads that report and turns it into a prediction. One specific kind of risk, at one specific moment, from whatever version of the file it was given. The report is the raw material. The score is somebody's reading of it. There's no single scoring model. FICO is one brand among several, with multiple versions, including base scores and industry-specific auto and bank card scores. Different lenders and products may use different models or versions entirely. Different versions can read the same file slightly differently, built to weigh different kinds of risk. The number on Elias's phone tonight is one model's answer. Not necessarily the one a lender will pull. This is the part that surprises people most. The score in his app is real, genuinely calculated from his data. It's just not guaranteed to be the score a bank actually pulls. Across the city, at a loan officer's desk, a completely different version can come back for the exact same file. Same person, same night, a different number. He's been reading one instrument, assuming it was the only one in the room, because the model doesn't make the final call. An institution does. A lender uses a model or version available for that kind of product, then applies its own underwriting criteria on top, its own threshold for what counts as acceptable. One bank's cutoff isn't another bank's cutoff. The score walks into the room first. It doesn't walk out holding the decision. It can ask Elias for more than a score alone: proof of income, employment, how much he already owes, exactly what he's asking to buy, a pay stub, a recent statement, not just a number on a screen. None of it lives inside the score app on his phone. The number was never meant to answer all of that by itself. So by the time a decision reaches him, 3 layers have already spoken: the file, the model that read it, the institution that decided what else it needed. A different report, a different model, a different institution. 3 different answers from the exact same person. The score was never the whole sentence. It was one word inside it. None of this stays abstract. A lower score can influence the interest rate on a loan or the credit limit he's offered. None of it is automatic. It's an influence, not a rule carved in stone. But influence is still real money. Even a modest rate difference multiplied by years, landing on a real bill every month for as long as the loan lasts. It can also show up somewhere closer: the apartment application he's about to fill out. A landlord screening can pull credit history, rental history, income verification, sometimes its own tenant risk score, not just one number. A tenant screening report can influence that decision alongside other information: a larger deposit, a co-signer, a higher rent than the next applicant, or an outright rejection. Nothing's been decided yet. Here's the part that has nothing to do with credit at all. Somewhere in the last few hours, without deciding to, Elias stopped treating that number as a prediction and started treating it as a mirror, as if it had looked at him and found something lacking. Not in his file, in him. He didn't notice the shift happening. Almost nobody does. That's not really a credit problem. That's what happens whenever something built to estimate one narrow thing gets picked up and used as a verdict on everything a person is. It happens with test scores, performance reviews, any number small enough to remember and big enough to sting. He sets the phone face down for a moment, just to stop looking at it that way. A credit score was never built to know if Elias is disciplined or kind or trying hard enough. It predicts one narrow thing, a kind of repayment risk based on a partial paper trail from companies that have never met him, never seen his face. That's a real number, doing a real limited job. Never big enough to hold the size of judgment he'd put on it tonight. So he does what he now actually knows how to do, not starting from the number, starting from the decision he's genuinely thinking about, the apartment application, and working backward from there, a different starting point. It changes everything that follows from here. What's actually being decided and by whom? Is the number on his screen the one that landlord will even use? He doesn't know. He may not even know which screening product gets used. But if a report ever contributes to a worse offer, the notice should name the reporting company behind it. A real path to request and check it. That gap used to feel like a personal failure. Now it just feels like a fact. So he checks what he actually can. When each account last reported, whether this month's payment has posted, whether the balance matches what he expects. 2 things stand out: the earlier statement balance and that half-forgotten inquiry. Either could have moved the number. Maybe both did. He can't reconstruct exactly how many points came from which. But he can name what changed in the report and which layer to question next. If a number ever looks wrong instead of just unfamiliar, an account he never opened, a balance that isn't his, that's what the dispute process is for, with the relevant credit reporting company and, when appropriate, the company that furnished the information. A different problem, worth knowing, exists, even if he doesn't need it tonight. In Elias's case, nothing was broken. And if this is the kind of lens you want to build, subscribe to the Elias principle before the next system hides in plain sight. Suggested visuals. Image 1. The room, fully lit now compared to the opening darkness. Image 2. a wide shot pulling back from the desk toward the window, the night city visible beyond it. It's 11:47 p.m. again, a different night, weeks later. Elias is in bed, phone in hand. The number in front of him is still lower than he'd like. The apartment application went in 3 days ago. He hasn't heard back yet, but he isn't asking what it says about him anymore. He's asking which report it came from, which model read it, which institution it's actually for. He still doesn't know exactly which version they'll pull. He isn't pretending to. He just knows what to check and where to look. The number didn't get smaller. His question just got sharper. And that's the difference between watching a verdict and reading a system.